Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so getting out today. The weather is fantastic. It's about what, 74 degrees, 75 degrees. Been waiting on this for months, but figured I'd get out and try to walk around, enjoy myself to the best of my ability, even though my body is exhausted from all of the things that I've been doing over the last couple of days, trying to push myself a little and put myself in the most advantageous position to kind of lose some weight and get in shape. But some days at this age, 40 years old, you got to recover after the workout. It ain't just you want to go every day, do the same thing. But I think that's also partially mental, to be honest with you, because I remember having days like this where I felt groggy leaving the house. By the time I got back, I was jovial and had all the energy, or whatever the word would be. So I'm hopeful that would be what this is right here. Because I really feel like sleeping right now. Plus, I didn't sleep that great last night, to be honest with you. I think I went to bed a little too early, maybe about 9 o'clock. Woke up at like 3 something, stayed up till like 5 in the morning, and then woke back up at like 8 or 7:45 actually. Freaking earthquake woke me up, that's what it was. Had a 5.0, I think, something like that. I didn't check, but I saw a meme that said 5.0. So maybe there was somewhere in that range, but yeah, that one was pretty good. That was a pretty hearty earthquake. Definitely shook everything up. Nothing fell or anything like that, but it was one of the ones that jolts hard enough for you to really feel it. Because a lot of the earthquakes, people ask me, you feel it? I'm like, nah. A lot of the times these earthquakes have been taking place while I'm walking, doing videos with you guys, so I definitely don't feel it. But you're in your bed, yeah, that thing shook up pretty good. So, yeah, man, that's really what it was. It was shaking up pretty good and kind of woke me up. And then from there, I had some things scheduled to do online. Basketball teams, I wanted to draft that old thing. So I did all that this morning. Regular routine, showers, squats, all that stuff. But man, do I feel like I didn't get enough sleep, tired, and a little sore because of what I've been adding to my regimen. Plus, all the walking I've been doing. Yesterday I did, as I had told you guys I was going to do, I climbed those 2 hills in Hollywood, came back down, and then walked all the way to the Target on Sunset. So that was a nice little exercise for me. Pushed it really good. And then, of course, I'm not taking buses back down Lankershim anymore. And I had a pretty full backpack after leaving Target and getting the rice as well from Trader Joe's. So I carried all that home yesterday and then did my squat regimen. So it's like my body's pretty beat, to be honest with you, but I think it'll pay off. And now that the weather is solid, I don't think I have an excuse to really stay home. At the same time, because it's solid, I don't know that I'm gonna be going like to Santa Monica to the pier or nothing like that. I'm not really sure if that's the kind of day this is, but as far as me climbing those hills, I don't know if I want to do that either. I might make it a observatory day or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get on the train, but it's all about the walk forward and the walk back, really. It don't really matter what I'm doing in between that, just that I get the steps in. So yeah, man, I'll shake this off. But I don't know if there's anything to really talk about. I think I've talked about most of the stuff that was on my plate and on my mind. Yesterday I got into some of my thoughts about this city and what's required for us to respect here, and it was 9/11 as well, so I talked about my point of view on that and my updated opinions about that, and the frustration furthermore with the genocide, for which we talk about every day. I don't think I talked too much about just the nonsense that's going on with people now looking at immigrants as if they're going to be eating dogs and cats because of what Donald Trump said, which I think is, it is what it is, man. You would expect that from Donald Trump, to be honest with you. I think it speaks to the understanding that a good portion of his base is not very intelligent. I do believe that that's what he's banking on. I think that's what his team is banking on when they give him certain things to speak about. It's unfortunate, to be honest with you, but it really does come down to who they think is listening to whom. And they think that the majority of the people who are listening to him are bigoted and ignorant and ultimately of low IQ. That's really what it is. And so they're going to try to cater itself to that. Whatever his talking points need to be, it needs to be able to massage their eardrums. So they know a lot of people love their pets. They know a lot of people are emotional about their pets. And you tell people that immigrants are eating dogs and cats, that's going to get them riled up in such a way that at the very least has their emotions backed up instead of their intelligence. They're not going to do a whole lot of research on something like that, especially when a guy like Donald Trump, of whom they follow blindly in a lot of cases, regardless of what comes out of his mouth or what he does, they follow him like it's a cult. And so when he says things like the immigrants are eating the cats and dogs in Springfield, Ohio, or wherever that is, whatever this Springfield is, you're going to have people who are going to believe that. And then from there you're hearing about people treating Haitian immigrants, of whom this story originally was about. I guess someone, I don't remember exactly who it was, the name of the person that came up with this lie about Haitian immigrants, a specific Haitian immigrant, some lady that they said had cooked a dog or something like that. It turns out that that was not true. That the city of Springfield, I think the mayor or somebody like that, came out and told the world that that wasn't actually true. But Donald Trump ran with it anyway. That person who initially brought out the story ran with it anyway. And as I said, just as in regards to the genocide and how they handle that, it doesn't really matter if the truth is being debunked. That's really how America's operating these days. It doesn't matter if the story that they're telling is being debunked. It just matters that not enough people have the word spread around to them for that news to be debunked, and that they have the unbiased trust of the people they're telling the lies to. Because all they have to do with the few of us who know the truth is just make us look crazy. That's all they have to do. It's not even about them being exposed. It needs to be a majority, enough people to hold them accountable. Otherwise, the truth doesn't hold much weight. It's just a bunch of babbling fools who are telling the quote unquote truth. And the majority are individuals who ultimately are going to do the hard work for them in continuing to spread the lie and the narrative. If you have enough people pretending in a world full of people that don't ask questions, it doesn't matter what the minority, those who understand the truth, ultimately know. They have to convince that devoted majority to listen to them. And you press against that, and you can win the game. And that's what America's been engaging in regards to this genocide. That's what America's engaging in regards to that lie about eating pets and stuff like that. That's a lie. That's easily been debunked. But if the notion that it could be true is in enough people's heads, then what is the truth really about? But something that crazy people are telling, right? That is easily being pushed aside as something that otherwise shouldn't be told. You know, they can turn around and say, hey, the truth is not the truth. It's a lie. Look at the people who are telling you the truth. They are terrorists. They are liars. They are individuals who otherwise shouldn't be listened to. Terrorist sympathizers and things of that nature. You don't actually stop the liar unless you have the majority of the people believing the truth. That's what America is trying to ultimately engage in. That's their theory. And we can keep on doing what we do. We just gotta have enough people who will stand on our lie regardless of what the hell is about. Regardless if the truth is being exposed or not, regardless of how much footage or not. Die on the heel of the lie. Have enough people compromise to the point where they're gonna tell the lie regardless. And the rest is history, and that's how they operate. That's what this genocide showing us. That's what that lie about the pets is showing us, and all that shit. At the end of the day. So we just gotta be smart enough to understand that and move in a way that makes it so that the lie is not just told without some resistance that is credible in nature. And you got to be able to reach people who are otherwise devoted to believe in the liars, so that truth can hold some merit in that grand majority. And that's what I think a lot of people have failed to do within a lot of circumstances where people are trying to stand up for the truth. You gotta look sane to those who are not easily swayed by things that aren't received comfortably in their heads. In other words, I'm starting to understand that the environment, as I just described, when you start seeing how these protesters are going about trying to stop the genocide, they're not effective in a sense, because they're getting up, they're waving their hands. We know the truth, we know the truth, we know the truth. And you got officials who are standing on the lie. You got enforcers in place to remove those who are screaming, hey, 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 we got it. We know the truth, you need to listen to. You got the people who are devoted in the room mixed with people who are compromised to present the environment of the truth being a lie and the lie being the truth. So in that environment, you just look crazy for screaming the truth. You look like a disruptor for screaming the truth. And you keep seeing these environments in place in these various different DNCs, RNCs. You see these environments, and they're set up to make it so that a lie would be what is not only accepted, but the only thing accepted. And the truth is set up to look like disruption and otherwise crazy babble. So what the protester and the truth teller has to be able to understand and to be able to maneuver around is that environment, which is set up to not only make you look disruptive, but ultimately deteriorate your credibility based on the overall agreement that the lie is what is being stood on. And anybody that sees the truth not only has to be able to express that truth in a way that is received, but they also have to be able to maintain credibility in the presence of those who are put in place to take that credibility from them. And this is why I think protesters need to switch up the game plan. You gotta come with projections of the evidence that you've seen. Standing up, saying what's happening doesn't do a good enough job of deteriorating the overall credibility of that scene, which is what it is. I got my security people ready to remove any protesters. I got my people in the audience that believe in my bullcrap. I got more people in the audience willing to clap and stand and boo you if you come in here telling the truth. And that in and of itself brings about a picture. And you need to be able to provide a picture that would otherwise make that environment look not credible anymore. And granted, most people who are paying attention, who are knowledgeable already, know that this is what it is. But you're not trying to convince people who already know. You got to try to convince people who are lost in the sauce, so to speak, who are not privy to the conversations and the images that ultimately will deteriorate that for which is their devotion to the people who are putting on that scene. You got to outsmart them. But what you also understand is that you have the evidence that debunks what it is that they're propping up to look a certain way within their scene from being credible at all. You just got to be able to find a way to display it. Whether you're wearing t-shirts with dead babies on it, which is going to make you look crazy, or projecting it somehow onto the walls as these people continue to try to have their scenes. I don't know how you do it, but the evidence needs to be shown. Because it's not just what you know, it's what you can prove. And you have that evidence. You just got to find a way to get that evidence to the people that need to see it. And so that's what it really comes down to. I think protesting is disruptive and it works, but it's a slow burn in a sense that it's not moving fast enough to save the lives necessary of the people who are ultimately in danger. We ain't did a good enough job of organizing against these scenes and these overall lying think tanks that ultimately put us in a position as protesters to look absolutely insane and they're lacking credibility. And the gaslighting that's going on and the overall scene creating that's in place in the environment for which they can make a lie look like the truth and the truth to look crazy is something that's well studied by these people. They've done this for a long time to a lot of people. They know what buttons to press psychologically on people's minds. They've been coercing them and rocking them to sleep with propaganda for a long time. They know what they're doing. The PR machine of this country's been working for a long time. It's made a lot of mistakes. It's learned from those mistakes. And it's studied those mistakes and what also worked. So if you're gonna get around it to bleed through the truth necessary for people to be woken up, you gotta smarten up. And I'm not sure, I don't know that I have the answers. I just know what the problem is. And the problem is, this has been in place for so long that a lot of people are devoted to it. They're devoted to the belief that the people who are putting these scenes on are to be trusted with their lives and with their country and with their money and with everything else. So if one of these scene orchestrators opens up their mouth and say, hey, they're eating dogs over there, these people gonna nod their head and say, yeah, they sure are. You understand what I'm saying? Of course you do. And that's the point. It is understood. It's just not easily maneuvered around. That's what it is. It's not easily maneuvered around. So as a result, we continue to scream at the mountaintops, hey, they're killing kids, and they continue to scream 4 more years at us, or make America great, or whatever it would be within the propaganda machine that aligns with the lie and with the overall I don't know what the word would be, but the worst of what it is that ultimately should be going on. That is in place, not by accident. And if you control the environment, you can control the narrative. And if you can make the narrative look credible, what America's trying to prove essentially is that even if you have evidence against that narrative, you got to be able to spread that truth. And they found a way to suppress the minds of those who would otherwise be on the fence. You got to find a way to unsuppress those minds. You got to be able to get them on your side of that fence. And until we study and figure out how to do that, we're going to fail. We're going to fail. This is going to be more and more instances where they're taking our protesters away from these scenes and continuing to scream 4 more years or whatever the propaganda would be. And we need to be able to reach people that have not been easily reached by us, who know the truth. We need to wake up some people. We need to change some minds. And the only way they're going to do that is if they're traumatized by the same things we've seen and ultimately convinced through what it is that they believe that they should change those beliefs. It's not easily done, but it is what's required. And I'm telling you, for some of y'all who are listening to me, I think you may not necessarily think much of what I'm saying. Maybe you're part of that belief system in your government, or you believe in your party or whatever. But what you got to understand is what it is we've been paying attention to has shown us the lies behind what it is that your beliefs are. Maybe you haven't been revealed what that is. And that's how it's designed, so that you haven't. It's not necessarily your fault that you haven't seen the proof necessary to make you undo what it is that you ultimately have learned. Make you throw away some of these things that you've been holding on to for however long you have. But if I told you everything you ever believed was a lie, I would need to provide some proof of what it is that I've seen. And then you would need to be able to open up your mind enough to be able to receive it. And they're banking on you not. Your two-party system, this situation has proven it to be not what it seems. The Democrats and Republicans both work together. They are divided in a way so that you believe that they're not working together, so that you will be divided in nature. It's not about the government itself being divided. It's about the people being divided, choosing sides. That's really what it's always been about. And this situation is more or less a pinpointed way of seeing through that for which put that in place, and ultimately what would make it so that people would ever believe in that going forward. It's not to be believed in. It's purposely put in place not for your benefit. It's put in place so that they can continue to do things that should not be done and control the environment for which it would be agreed upon. They need you divided, because if everybody's one and they sway in one direction or another, that is a lot of influence against what it is they're trying to put in place, regardless of what it is. So they need you divided. They need you thinking you can choose between the lesser of two evils, and they need to be able to effectively occupy both sides just in case you choose either one. And that's what's happened here. AIPAC has owned a good portion of your government on both sides. They understand that they need to be able to bleed through whatever choice and decision our country makes. Whatever we decide to do, they got to be able to be in between that situation so that their intentions can be effectively done. Because if we choose the wrong one and they pour their money into one guy and not the girl, and we choose the girl, then their intentions don't get done. And what it is that they're trying to do gets blown up, and they can't let that happen because they're trying to blow children up, right? So they need our bombs to continue to do that. So they have to buy both candidates. So they have to be able to implement positive candidates on both sides for their cause. So Donald Trump is going to definitely talk about how intentional we should be in regards to supporting Israel. And of course, Kamala Harris is going to align with the idea that she loves Israel even more. You know, because it's not divided in regards to their intentions. It's just that they know we're going to choose a side. We've been rocked into this space where we're going to choose a side based on the propaganda put in place years and years and years and years before any of us were born. You're going to choose a side. The majority of you, you've already chosen your side. You know, it's just like embrace debate in sports. These guys don't disagree. No, it's just that you can't have a debate without two parties not agreeing. But they both agree they need to have ratings. You understand what I'm saying? The ratings need to be up. So if they agree on everything and they're presenting themselves to be a debate show, it doesn't work. If you hate LeBron, I gotta love him. If you hate the Cowboys, I gotta love them. Or else we agree too much and it's not much of a debate show, the ratings go down and therefore we don't have what we need. It's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. That is a copy and paste of what's going on in your government. They agree they need to control all of us. And they've come to the conclusion that having us pick a side is the best way to do that. Through the trial and error of going about trying to control peoples over the course of however long it's been, they realize, if we have it so that individuals have choice and then compromise both sides of that fence, they'll feel like they're in control of what it is that ultimately we're rigging. And they'll never ask questions. And so many lies have already been told that you have to stand on, and one lie being debunked ultimately destroys the credibility of the entire thing. So they got to stand on stuff that is debunked just to keep the credibility. It's the lesser of two evils than coming out and saying, yeah, we're supporting something we shouldn't. And then you start questioning everything else they're doing that otherwise should be questioned. They can't have that. So they would rather stand on a lie, control the environment for which the lie is upheld, and then discredit the people who are telling the truth as they walk into those environments. It's the best chance they got of keeping a lie going when everybody sees that there is footage to be seen. Not everybody sees it, but when there's footage to be seen debunking the lie they're standing on. You lie until you die. That's what it really is. I don't care what truth you got. Why? Because I control the environment that you're in while you're trying to tell the world that I'm not credible or that what I am standing on isn't true. I control that environment. That's what America's on, man. That's what our government's been doing. That's what they've been doing for a long time. But the thing about them is, as time is progressing, they're continuing to do the same thing over and over again. And that's what I'm saying to you guys in the last video, where I say the 9/11 and 10/7 are the same play. It's because they keep on running the same plays. They keep doing the same thing. So you know it when you see it, because you've otherwise seen it before. We've learned from some of this stuff. You understand what I'm saying? If we're smart enough to be able to pair two things together, you can see the imprint of what it is they're doing. You can see the intentions are still the same. And since it worked last time, it'll probably work this time, so they believe. And so they run it again. So that's the problem with them. They're not creative enough to really change their tune when it comes to certain things that they're trying to do. They just keep doing the same stuff over and over again. And eventually the wall closes in on individuals that behave that way. Because just like we said in regards to the sports analogy, you keep running the same play over and over again, and good defenses are going to figure you out. It stops being a good play. Then it just becomes predictable. Then it just becomes repetitive. Then it becomes mastered. Then you lose. And that's what Americans fail to understand. When you keep running the same play over and over again, eventually people are going to figure you out. Eventually they're going to be able to anticipate you doing so. And so that's what I'm saying to you guys. And it's not limited to America. It's just the greater Zionist movement that consists of many different factions, of many different countries and many different governments. They have always worked in conjunction with one another to control the various environments that they inhabit, with the intention of expanding the imperialistic ideology and ultimately their wealth. That's what it's been about. It always looked like they were separatist countries, but UK, Canada, America, and several others, Europe, they've always been as one. We were told that the settlers who came to America were leaving America, leaving England or wherever the hell they were leaving, because they were being persecuted. And that may have very well been true. But given all the lies that have been told and what it is that's been revealed to me, I have reasons to believe within my own space that that's to be questioned. That they left on a mission to imperialize further lands, just like they've been doing in the Middle East as of late. They never had any trouble with the home front. That's just a lie they told all of us to get us to buy into what it is that they're doing on multiple fronts. I don't know. I'm not a historian. But when you look at what people have been doing and you consider that they keep running the same plays over and over again, you can see where that could have been a possibility, because it's something that they're trying right now. And it's something that you've seen throughout the course of history several times from these same people. So why wouldn't I wonder if something that they're doing, that they told us was done 400 years ago, 500 years ago, didn't have that same imprint on it, when their DNA is to continue doing the same things over and over again? You see what I'm saying? It's just like I always say, I don't have to necessarily know what you're doing. I just need to know the functionality of it. I need to know what your history is. And if I identify that you keep doing the same things over and over again, then I can see from something else that you've done in the past what could possibly be going on right now. What is likely to be taking place right now, especially if it worked the last time, because you're going to try it again. Not everybody's like that. But it appears that these folks are like that. Zionism is like that. White supremacy is like that. And so that's what I'm trying to express to everybody, man. I'm not afraid to say the truth, because I think that the truth is ultimately what I'm here to say. If I were here to be a basketball player, I'd be on the basketball court. If I were here to be a musician, I'd be in the studio right now. If I were here to be a garbage man, the Lord would have made it so that I was comfortable doing that. He made it so that I was comfortable doing this. And so I roll with it. And I wait for whatever consequences come from that based on the understanding that I'm doing what feels absolutely right. And I know that it's going to save lives if people take from what I'm saying and spread the word to people who need to hear it. If people take a few seconds to do a little research and within themselves absorb the idea of what they've been knowing their whole lives, could potentially have been just in place to control them and control others, and to get them to comply with things that are not supposed to actually be agreed upon, if not for the propaganda that's been placed upon your mind over time. And mind you, over time is key to all of this. A lot of this, what it is that we believe, is so second nature to us because it's been in our lives for generations. It comes as second nature as brushing our teeth or taking a shower. So to try to betray that is like, it's insane. It's foreign and it's uncomfortable. And they're counting on you not being able to break through that uncomfort, not being able to break through that, so that they can continue to rule as they have. That was what the plan was, is to get you to feel like trusting them was as normal and as comfortable and as natural as anything otherwise that you do every day. Now, if they tried starting this process 2 years ago, wouldn't have the same effect. But that they've been doing this for 500, 600 years makes it much more difficult for y'all. But that is, in and of itself, is your true north. That's why you know you have to keep in mind what has been done to you, or the potential that it has been done, and then approach the truth, or what it is that your questions would be, looking and seeking the truth, with the understanding that you have to undo something that's been in place for generations that would otherwise coerce you away from even wanting to find that truth. You don't even want to find that truth. They made it so that you're rude for asking certain questions. They made it so that you're treasonous for ultimately questioning them. That's a culture that's been in place for a long time. So you're not going to question that naturally. You have to step outside of your own mind in order to be able to bleed through what it is that's been put in place and implemented on your mind. And then looking at yourself in the mirror, asking yourself what you want to carry forward. Is it the same thing? If so, are you happy with the results of what it is that you've been engaging in? Or do you think that there could be some credibility to things being more beneficial for undoing a lot of what has been in place for so long? It's hard, man. They've done a very good job of controlling our minds and making us trust them. Unfortunately, not a great job, because if that were the case, it wouldn't be conversations like this out here. And I get it, the world is complicated. Some stuff may have needed to be done to keep good things going. But at the end of the day, this wasn't built to be a good place. This was going to be a profitable place. And as we can clearly see, those two things do not go hand in hand. When you talk about the presence of what matters, and babies dying and stuff, and we're in a space where we're comfortable with that. Cultures where people are suffering and we're just fine with that because we keep pushing forward. Maybe we need to rethink if being so comfortable within that is a good thing. Maybe we need to not be so fearful as to think that if we undo that system, that we won't find a better one. People are afraid of change, but sometimes that's what the powers that be are banking on, is that you being fearful of change will keep you from engaging in it. They need you to be afraid. They need you to be emotional. They need you to not think, and they definitely need you not to research. They need you to be rocked to sleep by entertainment and selfishness and various different things that make you care about you, care less about others, and have your identity and your morals wrapped up in supporting what they tell you is right, what they tell you is ultimately to be abided by, and then furthermore being fearful of what happens when you don't abide by those rules that are set by people who really don't have your best interest in mind, but more so have the intention of keeping the system of what it is they got going on intact over time. You can live or die. And that you think it's all about you, or that you have some choice when you use your vote to choose between Democrat or Republican is ultimately what it's about. As long as you're thinking that, you're not considering coming together for a third option that would ultimately hold it accountable. Hold it accountable. Which is ultimately what's going to bring about the balance that a lot of people are praying for, hoping to see create the safer environment for which everybody aspires to have but don't know how to get. Safer environment. Peace comes from, as I said in my last video, peace is what creates the environment for potential mass safety. If everybody's being fair to one another and respectful of one another, the likelihood that people are going to be at each other's throat decreases dramatically, just off of sheer nature. I'm not mad at you because you didn't do nothing to me. If we can figure out how not to do nothing to one another more and more, the environment itself gets safer and safer for all of us. And like I said, there will always be things that slip through the cracks. It's not a perfect science. There's always going to be a mad axe murderer somewhere. But if we're not going around looking for enemies with what we figure would be so very natural to do, like pushing people away for their differences and being divided in so many different ways that are maybe not even necessary if we really give some critical thought to it, you might find that the very safety you're looking to find when you hold your gun is what actually comes about when you put it down. And of course, there's going to be people who are going to tell you that's not true because they're either afraid to put their gun down or they're invested in the idea that you holding your gun is what's best for them. They want you to believe that you are safer with it, but the reality is I've never seen a gun that can repel bullets. You can just send them back to somebody else. You ain't going to save your life with that. Not unless you're extremely aggressive with it and very good with it. And if everybody's holding them, then not everybody's aggressive and good with it. It's a lot of stray bullets that can go in a lot of different directions, hit a lot of innocent people. That's all more guns do. There's going to be a couple of responsible gun owners, but the majority of people ain't even smart enough to see through propaganda in their lives. Why would they be responsible enough to hold a weapon without it potentially causing more harm than good? Some people don't even know how to move in packs without being aggressive. So why would they need a high-powered weapon in their hands for defense? They won't be defensive with that. They become off on the offense with that. Or dare I say, become offensive with that in their hands. But if you teach people not to think about that and to love the power of the weapon in their hands, they're going to be irresponsible with it, no different than they would be with anything else that's self-destructive. You give us enough beer commercials, we'll drink ourselves into a stupor. You give us enough hamburger commercials, we'll buy hamburgers until we have a heart attack. That's not everybody, but that's how we've been coerced to thinking. Indulgence, discipline, praising God only if it fits state, although we're supposed to keep it separate. The state moves as religious as it wants to when it considers who's valued and who's not. And so this is the type of things it's like, yo, these standards are not balanced across the board, and maybe there's some science to that. But at the end of the day, from person to person to person, if you're looking for a certain type of reality, you need to understand that you're not as important to those who put that in place as keeping up the overall environment for which they control. So if you want your interests met, you got to deviate from a lot of that. And that's your true north and understanding why you should try to look into certain things that maybe they told you not to pay attention to, or not necessarily trust them as much as maybe you were raised to do. Because the reality is you want to help create an environment that values you and yours. And in following the state, you're going to cater to an environment that values the state over life, so to speak. And everything that comes with that. And so that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. Israel, above all else, needs to understand this. Nobody needs this understanding more than Israel. Unfortunately, their entire society needs this understanding. Because what it is they believe is meant to weaponize them against everybody else and ultimately make the whole world hate them. And they remove all the people on the situation eventually with the ideology that they engage in. Not just the people they can't stand, but themselves as well. You eventually get removed. You can't walk around just being evil to everybody, saying you're the most important thing in the world and demand everybody agree with you. That doesn't work at all. And then furthermore, making fun of people who are suffering and then saying that you're the victim in the process, that creates a certain evil within others pointed at you. A deep resentment and a deep hatred pointed at you. Plucking at the heartstrings of individuals who have a heart for that for which you do not care about. Which in this case is our Arab people in Palestine. And so this is what comes to mind. Those of us who know the truth, who have an understanding of what we're looking at, we need to do a much more savvy job of awakening minds who don't have this in their heads already. It's okay if we keep passing the truth back and forth amongst one another. Everybody who knows what's going on can keep on seeing it over and over again, just continue to get angrier and angrier. But if we don't get more savvy about making sure that others are not only listening to what we're saying, but able to absorb and receive it, not only that they hear us and see us, but that they furthermore, after they start wondering what's going on, ask questions and find answers. You understand what I'm saying? There are a lot of people who are asking questions, but they don't have the rhythm within their agreements in life to search for those answers. They go to who they trust, and then those who they trust are ultimately the people who are doing the wrongdoing in a lot of cases. It's like, oh my God, there's something weird going on. And the first thing they do is turn to the bad guy and ask him how to handle it. Because they trust him. That's the nature of a lot of what's going on here. You know, you're not going to find what you need until you learn not to trust those who are telling you the lies. You're not going to provide a certain respect for the credibility of the truth until you learn how to overcome that for which is not in place for you to receive that truth. They're going to continue to tell you the most important thing in the world and to dehumanize everybody around you, while everyone around you has the truth that you need in order to help you realize you don't need to be trusting those who are telling you this. And until you can fathom that, until that's in your head, you're always going to be having the notion that something could be wrong, but then find the comfort of those who are doing the wrongdoing, telling you that it's going to be fine. And so that's what it is that I ultimately see there. I don't doubt that I'm not much greater in that, because I was raised in this environment as well. It took me seeing what's going on there for 38 days to kind of understand the fullness of what was already displayed to me, but for whatever wonderful psychological manipulated reason, you still ignore that and continue to believe that this is a part of something that could potentially be for your benefit. You ignore slavery. You ignore what they did to the Mexican people. You ignore what they did to the Native Americans. You ignore what they did to their fellow white people. In a lot of cases, you ignore all of that and continue to trust the Rock the Vote campaign, vote for this or vote for that. Don't trust them over there because these people are telling me that we shouldn't trust them. Lock the borders up even though they could care less about borders in other countries that they control. Like the hypocrisy of it all. You don't even listen to your instincts telling you that something's awry, because they are further embedded in your subconscious to not be questioned. It's like they're the devil on your shoulder versus the angel telling you that something's wrong. Nah, ain't nothing wrong. Trust us. Because if you don't trust us, they're going to come kill you. If you don't trust us, then all your fears come to pass. If you don't trust us, who are you going to trust? Because we've been here the whole time. If you don't trust us, there are consequences for that, and we're going to impose them on you. And then furthermore, they have a mental edge on all of us as it pertains to whether or not we'll question them, hold them accountable, or even let it into the equation that we should listen to people who are. They've been doing this for far too long, man. Far too long. And a lot of people need that true north. They need to start paying attention to that thing that shows us what it is And a lot of us are ignoring it. But I'm here to tell you that that thing is in place. That thing is now showing us the truth. And either you can run with it and do the difficult thing in regards to allowing it to seep into your mind and help you toward a path that will allow you to be a solution to what's to come, which could be a lot more difficult if we continue to keep things going the way that it is. I can tell you that. While they continue to tell you that these people are terrorists, they're trying to awaken the hate within them that would otherwise turn them into that, killing all their kids in front of them and doing all types of immoral stuff so that they can, within that trauma, second that stigma that's been placed upon all of them. Picture it like this. I'm telling everybody that pit bulls are a bad dog. Pit bulls are a bad dog. The next pit bull I see, I run up to it and kick it. Run away, come back, kick it, run away, come back with a steak in my hand, like some steak, some food, dangle it in his face and run away. Like just continue to provoke it and try to rile it into attacking me. Then when it attacks me, I say, see that those dogs are evil. No, the dogs ain't evil. You just awakened the anger within it by taunting it over and over again and trying to make it feel all of the different energies that would otherwise turn it into what it is you labeled it in the first place. You made it what it is. It was never going to be that without you and your compromised energy, your influence. And that's what we're doing to the Arab people. They first told you who they wanted you to believe they were, and then they try to provoke them into becoming that. Doing all the worst stuff that would ultimately make any man or any woman turn into, quote unquote, a terrorist. They ain't terrorizing nobody. They praising God. They ain't thinking about none of this crap that y'all talking about. But you want their land. And you know that belief in that God is going to make it so that you can't get it. They're not going to turn it over to you. They're not going to be compromised by the stuff you dangle in their face. So you got to take it by force. But first, you need to convince everybody else around within your environments that it should be done. So you rile up those people. You do something to yourself that hurts the people. And then you blame it on those you've labeled them terrorists. Then do horrible things to those terrorists and wait for them to strike back. Further solidifying what it is you said they are. None of that's being done without you. None of it. You provoke it. And they run back and tell us all these different lies, colorful lies, and then stand on that square. See, and I'm to be trusted. I'm to be trusted, and you believe in me, right? And so on and so forth. Psychological implementation of those truths and environments and what did I call it? Scenes. We're to be trusted. You will trust us. You have trusted us. And they proceed to do stuff like this all over the world. Horrible stuff, and they pick up the plunder from everybody who ultimately reacts to them. Sit back and get off on that stuff or whatever the intention is. I personally think they get off on it, really. It's like it empowers them spiritually to continue to keep going the more they do it. Like a pure evil, you know? That's what I think white supremacy and Zionist energy is actually about. The more they take, the more courage they feel to continue taking. The more innocence they disrupt, the more they feel as if it's within their nature to conquer everything around them. It's a cancer. Essentially, it's a human cancer. And it's not going to be happy till it consumes everything and destroys everything. It's an agent of the enemy, literally. And until we get to a point where we view it as such and work the necessary strategies that can ultimately deflate it, which is the best word I can use to describe it, then it's always going to be nice and plump, willing to get bigger off of this pain of others and off the compliance of us. who it also has by the balls and has by the heartstrings, so to speak. And so that's what I'm trying to get people to understand, man. I come to see this in my life and the suffering of people that we continue to be like, yeah, it's fine. That's not by accident. It's not by accident. That is by design. And this is how it survives. This is how it thrives, off of the suffering of many and off of the compromised nature of the people that trust it. That is what it is. It will compromise everything around you to make you believe in it. And then from there, you'll continue to work for it, but not around it. And it will always stand in the way of your highest potential, unless it benefits the most from you reaching it. That's really all it is. And I hate to tell people this, but it's those who are deeply spiritual that ultimately are not compromised by it. And that's why they need to destroy that, for which is deeply spiritual. Hence why they're trying to kill those people over there. Because they're always praising God all day long. Can't compromise them. They ain't figured out how to do it. They don't know what they want. They can't dangle shiny things in their faces because what it is they practice ultimately teaches them to stay away from such things. It prepared them for the essence of what they actually are. That's why they hate them so much. We gotta wake up. That's all it really comes down to. I keep saying it every day. Video 44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.